Thank you. With that, we will return to questioning. I'm going to give myself 3 minutes and eaten up some of that time in a very, unfortunately on my part. So again, my apologies to the panel for any confusion there. I was enthusiastic, yes, the ranking member reminds me. So I think it was your spirited opening that may have brought me along that path. With that, I'm going to take 3 minutes, and Mr. Taibbi, you had started to explain and did in your opening statement about the Election Integrity Partnership, and I appreciate that. Mr. Weingarten, you were talking about an advertising blacklist, and the GDI NewsGuard used these blacklists to censor American speech, and I am curious, you know, those blacklists, how did they treat the right-leaning outlets versus the left-leaning outlets, and were outlets punished for even attempting to provide ideological balance? I mean, you wrote Real Clear Politics was one of those that was on the list.
I think the Real Clear Politics case study is instructive in that if you go to our website, you see sources left and right, and the whole purpose is let's provide a balanced diet of opinion and analysis and let the American people decide, because we have faith in the American people, that they have agency and they can decide for themselves. And the fact of the matter is that RCP and then some on the right, libertarian, conservative, and even anti-establishment leftist publications have found themselves dinged by these so-called risk raters. And that risk, by the way, is that they may be brands who advertise on these sites may be targeted for boycotts and attacks, generally by progressive groups. So this whole sort of apparatus exists out of coercion, essentially, from the left, and as a consequence, ad revenue streams have died for many of these companies, and it threatens their viability.
Yeah, and how would these blacklists treat a publication that had the audacity of suggesting that COVID-19 virus may have originated from a lab leak, which actually turned out to be a legitimate and true theory? I don't know about the rest of my colleagues or the panelists, but I know people who were canceled over putting out such theories and even threatened with their job and their livelihood on that. So talk to me a little bit very quickly about COVID-19.
In Real Clear's reporting, we saw that at least one source that put forth questions about all manner of issues from the origins of COVID to mitigation measures and beyond. They got attacked because they dissented from what was public health orthodoxy at the time. And as we know, that public health orthodoxy, that consensus has shifted. But if you differed from consensus, you were dinged, and you had essentially no recourse or real due process to get off a blacklist for just presenting an opinion or a substantiated analysis.
I'm going to move quickly here, and I know, Mr. Taibbi, you're not the only controversial person here. Ms. Jankowicz, as we talked about some of her posts, some of this saying that the fairy tale about Hunter Biden's laptop is out there, and the Chris Steele provides some great historical context about the evolution of disinformation. So without objection, I'm going to put those into the record as well. I find it ironic that something called the American Sunlight Project is actually a dark money group that won't release its donors. Certainly that doesn't bode well. Mr. Taibbi, I'm going to give you a last moment here. Can you explain exactly how GEC colluded with social media companies, specifically through the Election Integrity Partnership?
Mr. Chairman, GEC's actual relationship to the Election Integrity Partnership was not clear. It was made plain in the EIP's own website. Secretary of State Blinken mentioned that it was cooperating with the EIP when he visited Stanford. Also, there was a story that it was actually interns from the State Department who came up with the idea for the EIP. So, but they were one of the two major government organizations that was working with the EIP.
And my time has expired. With that, I yield to the